So far we had some great progress, and you could see over here that we had this, I could just remove these images, and now the next thing that we want to do is we want to actually have this stuff inside our form data as well with the existing images as well. So we go to the code, and on the top you would see that the form data just has image URLs. So we'll have to set the other things with it as well. So it has the name, and you could just set it by an empty string by default. You could have a description, um, and then you could have the description set to an empty string by default as well. You have an address, and that could be an empty string as well. Then you have the type, um, which is either basically rent or sale. So this is on rent, so you could just say rent. We have bedrooms, we just have one. Bathrooms would have one. Would have regular price, which say 50, discounted price will be 0 at the beginning. Would have essentially we'll have offer, and that's basically false by default. And we'll have parking, and that will be false, and we'll have furnished, and that will be false as well. So these are our default values. And now once we have this form data, we have to actually plot it inside of our user input fields. So what we're going to do is actually, I'm going to go to the input fields. I'm going to go into this. See over here we have form, and then we have the input field. We have the first one, which is there. So we'll start out, and we'll start populating them. So let's go here right after the required, and this is the name one. So I'm going to say on change. Once value changes to this, normally what you would want to do is handle the change. So you would have to define a function. We could use this consistent function overall. Right now it's going to complain because it's not defined. So the value for this would be form data.name. To be honest, it's nothing right now, and it's not going to even work. So let's just go here and create this function quickly. Just const of handle change. So handle submit. So I guess it's handle change in the beginning. We'll just say handle change, and we'll have this just defined so that the error doesn't exist. And let's move on to the next steps. So the error doesn't exist, and we can move on to text area. So text area also has the same thing. Right after that we have on change, and that is to handle change, and would also have the value to form data.description. The same thing goes to the address on the bottom right here, and you would have the same on change, handle change, and the value to form data.address. Same thing now would go to the next one, which is actually now a little bit different. It's a checkbox. So essentially this checkbox is inside a div, and it's called input field. And what you could say to the checkbox is you could actually have it defined here. So it's an on change. It would also go to handle change. But the thing is that the checked field would be checked. So if suppose if the sale is checked, I'll say form data dot type. Now it depends on the form data's type if it's whether sale or not. So it would just accordingly check if it's actually triggered to sale or not. It will check it if the thing is triggered to sale. So at the moment, if you look by default, is the type sale? So if you go back over here, we have type as rent. So this is not going to be checked. I hope that made sense. And the next one, which is rent, will be checked because that's already by default form data is set. So over here, we'll go here, and we could have on change, and then we have handle change. Like that, and we'll have the checked, and that would be form data dot type, and then that is equal to rent. So let's just look at it quickly and see if it's checked. Absolutely, it's checked. Let's go forward and move on to the next part, which is this one. So now what we're going to do is the parking spot. So rent is done, parking spot, and what we'll do is the same thing. I'll just copy this because they're all check boxes. We'll copy and we'll paste it here. Okay. So the thing is that we have handleChange, and we have to check whether the parking spot essentially has essentially this is on change handleChange checked form data dot parking. That's all you have to do. Dot parking. That's all you got to do. Okay. Check if it's parking, because the other ones were actually related to each other. So form data dot type is actually related. That's why we had to check a little bit differently. But then these other ones are just almost the same. So we're just gonna have furnished, we'll have paste, and we'll just say furnished here. And almost everything else is same. Then we go to the next one, which is checkbox, which is actually offer. And the offer one is just form data dot offer. Again, pretty simple. Now after that we have the number of bedrooms. So if you look over here, this is gonna be an on change, and it's gonna be handleChange, and also value would be form data dot bedrooms. If it's like repeating stuff again and again, so you could just have the number of bathrooms, and that's almost the same as well. So just go and this and this. Great. Let's go back forward, and we have div, which is regular price of what? Okay, so then after that we have the regular price of the thing, and the listing, and we're gonna have over here as on change handleChange, and value could be form data dot regular price. Same thing goes for the next one, which is, now you can see regular price by default was 50, so that's why it's being there. Discounted price could also be on change handleChange, and then the value is equal to discount price. It's 0, so that's great. Let's go move forward, and you can see over here we have then we have images, and that's actually not even relevant. So you basically don't even need to do anything after that, because everything else seems okay. Regular price is okay, and the discounted price is okay as well. And the next columns after that is just the image, and the image normally has its own functionality that's being tracked. So you could see over here, if you look at the images, you have this paragraph, and then this div, and then this input, and it's basically multiple image selection. So it doesn't really matter, because it already has this on change set files, and it's triggering by itself. So it's completely independent. Okay, so now that we have all these handles done, let's go and go to the handleChange function, and essentially define it properly. So let's go into handleChange, which is going to be over here, and let's define it. Okay. Okay, so now the first thing is we have to check these things, which is sell and rent. Right now it's rent, but I have to check whether these two conditions, whether sell or rent. So for that, it's super easy. If we say e.target dot id, we say if it's either sale, okay, if it's either sale or if it e.target.id is rent. So you can see over here, I already populated it. So it says set form data. And the rest is all okay with spread operator, but you have to just trigger what was selected, right? Whether it's that, according to that, that would be fulfilled for the type. And else, so we have this, and else we have set form data, and then form data, and then we have e.target.id, and we have e.target.checked. So actually, we don't need any else condition. I don't know why it's added. Why is this even added? I think this was just enough. Yeah. That basically is looking for the other conditions, but yes. And then after that, we have another condition for these parking, furnished, and offer. They're almost the same. So they work almost the same. So we could say e.target.id, parking, furnished, and offer. You can see that keep all of them existing. But what you have to do is you just have to make sure they're checked or not. So e.target.id, it's basically e.target.checked. Make sure they're checked or not, and then you just implement whether it's true or false. These are all true or false values. True or false values. And the last ones are essentially these beds, bats, regular price. These are all other things, and you could just those are okay, but the extra ones like number e.target dot type, and we have number, anything that is of actually a type of number, or e.target dot type of text, or anything like 1 minute. So target dot type is equal to text, or any other like e.target dot text area. So what happens for those kind of things is that the format data that originally has will be all existing, and then the value will be reflected. So this is my complete handleChange function. This should be working because it's really great. But what we're going to do now is, although this is done, now we have to go to the form and we have to put in an action or an on submit handle listener. So we're going to go to the form and we're going to put on submit listener. So it's going to be over here. We'll say on submit, and it's essentially a function which is going to be called handleSubmit. Okay, so now obviously everything is not what we thought was going to happen. So let's just fix this up and add this function over here. We'll say const handleSubmit. It's an async function because some API will be used. And if I show you how those APIs will be using, let's just fix this up. Okay, so yeah, so now what we're gonna do is we're gonna essentially now since it's the submit button, we'll just prevent the default refresh, and you could also console.log the form data at all times, but let's just try and catch some of these things. Now the thing is that we have some concerning errors and some loading things that we might have to address. So it's best if we could have states defined for those errors and other things. So if we go here, you have different uploading, set uploading. You could have const, and you could have error, and you have set error, and then that could be essentially false. And you could also have const loading, and then you have set loading, and that could be also false. So basically these two things could greatly help you check for small edge cases. So error, both of them are false. But now that you have it implemented, now you could go straight to your handleSubmit. So this is over here, and then you could just use that for calling your API. So if form data image URLs, there again, this is existing, and if the length is less than 1, we'll say you could either have this set image error you must upload and return, or you could also just have a single line return that I normally prefer. So, and I'll just say return set error, and you must upload at least 1 image. All right, so that's perfect. Now suppose if the there's a condition whether the form data dot regular price that you actually set is less than the form data dot discount price. So meaning the discount price is bigger than the regular price. So that's also an error. So you could return set error discount price cannot be higher than regular price. Exactly. So this is great. And one concern is that if you want to have all of them strictly in integers, you could convert that into, or numbers, what I'm saying. You could have a plus operator right in front of these, so that they're strictly numbers, even if it's like string somehow. But MongoDB will always store them as numbers because we defined it as that in their model. But other than that, we're all good. Okay. The next thing is that we have loading, set loading, and we have to put the loading as true, and we also have to set the error as false, because so far nothing has been over here, but the loading is going to start because now we're going to be calling the API. So the first thing is, let's have the const rest, and we have await fetch slash API, and then we'll have slash listing and slash create, which is amazing. It's perfectly ready. So we have method is post, we have header is content hyphen type application slash JSON, we have body, which is JSON.stringify form data, sending that form data to basically to the API. Now, yeah, so this is going to be handled. You got to essentially have this form data, but the thing is, it's not the whole thing. You might want form data, right? But the thing is, the user reference is actually going to be the current user. You have to basically change this part. The current user that might not have this, so it's recommended to import this. So we have current user from Redux hyphen, yeah. So we have this, we have to initialize it. So it's best to initialize it. So we have current user and use selector, and then we have user state. That's it. And now we could actually use this. Use selector is not imported, so we need use selector as well. So we have control and space and enter. So we have use selector as well added. So everything looks good. We could use that current state, and this is our handleSubmit. I mean, almost everything looks good. The thing that might be missing now is the once this body is sent, we get a response. We have to convert that response to JSON. So we say response.json, and essentially I could await for this and put in a variable. So I could say const data is equal to await response, like that, and I could set the loading now to false because I got the data. So like that. If the data dot success is false, you could just set error and just say data dot message and return. I mean, it could work. Or you know, if it's the best case scenario, you could just navigate to that existing page. So say navigate, and I'm gonna have to import navigate as well. And what I want to do is I want to actually have backticks, and I want to go /listing, and then according to that data, I want to go to its underscore ID. Okay, because it's gonna have a user reference. And in case of bad scenarios, we could have this set error set to error.message, and we could have the set loading to false. So this is the worst case. Now, of course, we need to add this navigate. So we'll go up on the top, and we're gonna have to import. Why is this set here? We have to remove this. Okay, now we're gonna have navigate. So we're gonna have import navigate from React Web. It's basically useNavigate React Redux. No, not component, but actually useNavigate. Navigate from React Router DOM, and we also need it initialized. So we say const navigate useNavigate, and here where we were navigating, so which is right here, handleSubmit. When everything is good, yeah, we could have the navigate to that particular route. I guess everything looks good. I don't actually see anything missing, because you know, this entire handleSubmit function is looking good. The thing is, one other thing that we might want to add here is that, you know, when we have a create listing, we could have a condition that checks whether you know, it's loading. So we could have create so it's just basically going to test whether it's creating or not. So we could just say, if it's loading, we'll say creating, or we'll say create listing, like that. So that's perfect. And you know, you're going to just have the errors as attached as well. So right in the button on the bottom, you could have some error log. So you could have, in any error exists, you could just throw an error like that. Okay, so now this is saying that there's a syntax error here. Of course, there's a div that had to be possibly closed. I don't know what happened here. Okay, this was okay, but when I added the error button, right, that started complaining. Perhaps the yeah, it wasn't closed. It wasn't closed. It just has to be closed. Okay, so now we have this error message as well. This looks good. Let's just put 700 as well as text-sm, just to make the text small. Rest everything looks good. We could test this API using the, you know, the network tab. And we also need one conditional rendering before we test everything out, because one thing is of concern. This discounted price can't be for everyone until you have the you know, if it's on rent, then, you know, there should be like a per month discounted rate. So to do that particular thing, you would go to the discount price. So, you know, you would have to go to the discount price, and essentially it's going to be over here somewhere. Search a discount price. Over here we're going to search discount price. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, another one. Yeah, this is the one. So we need a conditional render here. So we're saying if the form data.offer is you know, something legit. I mean, form, what am I saying? If the form data.offer is, you know, discounted one, so you could have this entire div. You could have the entire div. So you could have the entire div nested inside. So essentially it's this entire thing. I don't know where the closing. This is the div. This is this one. I believe it's that one. because this other div is something else. This one. So let's just close this one. Let's just put it inside alt inside here. There you go. So the thing is, we have form data dot offer, and we have, if that is legit, we'll say it has this discounted price, and that's pretty much it. But the thing is, we also need to render this discounted price span, this per month thing, and this should only show if the form data dot type is set to rent. If it's set to rent, then I should only see the per month, else I shouldn't, right? So and you should put this and just bring this inside. Okay, and pretty much you could just format document, and everything looks good. So let's just test it out. So let's see. I'm gonna have to also put inspect on console and see what's happening here. So first of all, let's have the name. So I'll say new listing. See, a lot of things are being reflected, which is really good. New listing and new listing. You could see over here, if I look into this thing, by default you'll see the cell. If I look at the type, it should be over here. It's in sale. But if I change this, now the updated one should be in rent, which is perfect. Parking spot, if I click on this, a new one would be appearing, and the parking spot should be true. Great. If I look at furnished, it's false, and if I look at offer, offer is false as well. But if you click on offer, you get this discounted price. This is the thing that we wanted to achieve, and you could just put a discounted price, suppose how much you want, and you can put the furnished if you want, and it's just all reflecting, and it's really amazing. Look at, let's add some images. So 1, 2, and 3. Let's add some 3 images, and now we had 3 images. They're being uploaded here as well. So you could see 3 images. Let's upload, and once I upload this, they're being gonna be added here. You could delete the image that you don't want, and then you could create listing, and then it says over here, user ref is required. Listing validation failed. We have user ref path. User ref is required. So for that particular reason, when I'm actually clicking on this create listing button, so if I go into that action, it was user ref. I actually put that. So let's go back and see where that user ref is, because I actually added it over there. handleSubmit. It's got to be over here. Yeah. So you can see over here we have all of that, and over here we have user ref, and content. It's working, I guess. It should be working. There's not a problem with that. So and what would the message over here? User ref. I think that it's not coming from current user. Let's see current user. Where's current user? Okay, and let's see if this is being added, current user. So do we have useSelector? useSelector from React Redux. Do we have yeah, we have navigate. Do we have current? What is this current? I think this might be causing the problem. We don't even have, what is this current? I don't even know what that means. Right? So we actually need is only state. So if you look at this, we have current state, which is essentially what we look here is the create listing function, which is right here. And in here we have this use state, form data, and we have image upload, right? So I'm trying to find the use state. Yeah, so it's current user. Yeah, so essentially it's like state.user use selector. I believe it's from there. It's working. Current user, and you're using current user. Oh, I guess you didn't destructure it properly, and that's sometimes the biggest concern. So destructuring is very, very important, especially in JavaScript. So once you get the current user, you could actually use it in your own particular use cases. So I'm gonna get the current user, and you can see that I had to put it in the user ref, which is right there. I'm hoping like it's gonna work now. And the other button has to be disabled as well once we're submitting. So this is delete and all that, but there's actually this button, upload, delete. Yeah, so this button on the bottom has to be disabled once the loading has been started. So you could say button, and you could say this is the button, the create listing one, disabled. And you could say disabled if the thing is loading, the entire state is loading, or it's uploading. I hope that uploading is there as well, because uploading is part of the process of how we were uploading images. So that's why it should be existing. And let's try it one more time. New listing, copy, paste, add these things. All of these things work fine. Now you could have this, put an offer if you want, I don't know, add some images, and let's quickly upload. Okay, upload. You can see now it's disabled, which is really nice. And now we have all these images with us. Okay, which is great. This image URL has these 4 images, and they're all in their indices. They're all stored in Firebase. Create a listing. It creates the listing. You can see no route matched. Yeah, because there's no route created for this, but you could see that the listing has been created. If we go to the essentially, if we go to the network, this actually created the listing. And you could see over here, this create happened. Post 201 means something was created. If you look at the response, this is the response that we got. And this is meaning that we had created this new listing. We have these images. They're all stored in the database, and it has this user reference that came from that. And this is their specific ID. It's saved in the Mongo database. So 100% awesome. It has this listing and then a specialized URL according to the user. According to its own ID. So perfect. The listing ID. So each listing will appear with its own unique listing ID that is brought to you by MongoDB. Amazing progress. The last thing that we want to do is we just want to create a getUserListing API route, and that's the only thing that we are left with. So not left with, but for this particular video. Why am I even saying this? So now let's go and close all these. And what we have to do is we have to go to the API, and we have to go to the routes. So you can see over here routes, and then there's this listing user.route.js, right? If you go to the user.route.js, what you would see is that there's actually a route that we need, and that's for getting all the listings. That's all we need. So we'd say router.get, and what we need is listings, essentially with the ID specified. So basically, like suppose if I'm a person, I want my listings. So what you could do is verify the token, and also you have to create a controller for this, and then you could just say get user listings. Essentially, I'm getting the listings of my own user. That's what I'm saying. I'm not getting all of the listings of the entire system, but I'm only getting the listings that I have created, the user has created. Suppose like Coding Cleverly as account only created 1 listing so far. I want to receive that. If I created like 10 listings in a different account, I want to receive only the 10 that I have, but I have to verify first my authorization. Like everyone can't just see everyone's listings. This is some security concern that we have to handle. Your verify token is doing the job for us. Controller.js will have listing.controller. If you go to the user.controller.js, you have to just add the function here. So it's pretty simple and pretty easy. What you're going to do is you have to say get user listing. So export const get user listings. It's an async function. Pretty standard stuff. So if you could have request.user.id, this is coming from the JWT. If suppose this token ID, and this is, you are 100% sure where this is coming from. It's coming from the verified token. If you go to the verified token, you'll see that it's actually giving you this ID from the JWT. If that's actually verified, then if they match request.params.id, if they match, then you are further accessible to have the try and catch block. If not, you just essentially go out from there in the beginning and just say return next error handler, and you say you can only view your own listings. Rest, if you want to, you could just create const listings and essentially await listing dot find. You basically find the user. Now the thing is, we have a user ref attribute within the database, which is for the listings. We could get the params ID, and we could say, okay, whatever that person created, all those listings just retrieve, right? That's all we need. Once we retrieve those listings, we could have it response and say status is 200. We found those listings and we're returning them as a JSON. And if some kind of thing goes wrong, just say next error. That's it. So this is just basically our API, and we're complete. Okay, so this is a format document. Okay, this is good. Let's go back here, and all we got to do is we just have to import this. You just go here. So we have delete user, we could have comma, and we could get user listings, and there you go. This is also from user.controller.js. Perfectly done. If you go to the user.route, all of that looks good. So what we have to do now is we could just actually test this API, and that's all we could do. Over here, what we do is we have a new request, and I could say localhost port API listing, and we say show listing, I guess. Oh, but we have to authorize one thing as well. So there's this concern as well we have to look into, because to be honest with you, this is listings, and then depending on the person, right? So API, we have listings, API, listings. So let's look at the, so if you look at the index.js, where is the index.js? Right here, we have API/listing, okay? And then we have the listing router. So API/listing, and then we have the listing router, which is, that's completely something else. This is just listing. So I believe it's just API/user/listing. That's what I believe. So API /user/listings, all the listings that the user has given, and then you give the ID of the user passed in. So let's first of all initiate something. So let's go in Thunder Client, and there's got to be some other creating, deleting, updating, update, login, sign in. Okay, does this exist? Let's see. Okay, we signed in with this account. We have this ID, which is this one. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna use this, and we're gonna say okay, all the listings that this person has created return. Right now, you could see the listing is not found. Status code 500 means that that person hasn't created any listings so far. So this is totally fine. I mean, it's not a end of the world or something. You could just go and create listings here. So you could go over here and create it using this API. And what you have to do is just say slash creating. So listing slash create. I guess it's like that. And this is one of my listings that I'm creating. I don't know what is this, bro, but let's just see. Okay. Okay. So it says over here, yeah, this API is not the right one. So slash API slash listing, and then inside here slash API slash listing, and then in here is which is in the auth the listing.controller slash API slash listing, and then we have slash API slash listing slash API slash listing slash create, and then we have this ID. Yeah, so essentially I can't do this because I'm there might be something that I'm missing. So API slash listing slash create. You could go to here, you can see router.host slash create, router.listing.route. So something's over here as well. What is this? Saying listing is not even added. Wow. User model wasn't even there. Wow. So import listing from models. I think this is gonna help it. Maybe this is the reason. Maybe still not. So localhost API listing create not found. Are we off? I mean, the server could be off. No, the server is on. So there just might be a problem. User listings, and bring this one's listings, and oh wow. So that was created, and that does exist over here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 images, and I believe this is some person, because the one I had was someone else. I believe this one is someone else. Exactly, it's actually the same person. I actually just put my user reference there. So I actually tested this API out, and we have 100% working. So thank you so much now for watching this video. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna go into this listing, and we're gonna display them under here. So over here you'll see like show listings button, and then it will contain all the listings that Coding Cleverly's account has created throughout the entire life of its account creation, and other users can use and view their own according to their authorization. All right, so thank you, and stay tuned for the next one.